Picture this. It's a Tuesday morning. Tickets flood the help desk, video calls drop, and badge readers lag. The on-call tech scrambles through logs and radios and finally traces it to an undocumented access point in a tenant closet that's blasting the same channel as the building Wi-Fi.
Wait, what happens to tenant services when you pull that? From an operational standpoint, the question I ask first is what breaks if this goes down? Tenants feel this immediately. You yank one device and suddenly there's a business impact you didn't plan for.
Right. And that's the kicker. Often the setup wasn't malicious. It was a quick fix, a contractor validating service, a department installing an IoT bridge, or a tenant putting in a consumer AP because they needed faster throughput.
Connectivity is cheap and timelines are tight. People improvise. The ownership gap shows up at handoff. Contractors assume tenants will take responsibility. Tenants assume facilities will manage common systems. The result is a scattering of devices with no inventory and no accountability.
So, what does that actually cost you in day-to-day operations? Beyond interference, what are the downstream impacts?
You see 3 big consequences. 1, troubleshooting friction. Teams waste time pointing fingers because no one has visibility. 2, security exposure. Unmanaged devices go unpatched and can breach networks unintentionally. 3, business continuity risk. Critical services like payments or access control can sit on gear outside your SLAs. Combine those, and a single radio can become a building-wide outage.
No wonder help desks get burned out. I want to dig into detection next. But first, small interjection. People sometimes assume a full RF survey is the first step. Is that overkill?
Not necessarily. Start simple. Floor-by-floor passive sweeps, wiring closet checks, and frontline interviews. You'll find most issues that way. Then, if you need deeper analysis, bring in an RF consultant. But you don't have to wait for that to get meaningful visibility. And let me expand on the sweep. Don't just capture SSIDs. Log channel, approximate RSSI, and note whether the AP is clustered across floors. That helps you understand footprint, not just presence.
That's useful. So it's footprint and impact, not a simple find raid mentality. For listeners building a one-afternoon checklist, what should they record on each discovery? Say that line verbatim so they can drop it into their notes.
For each discovery, record SSID name, channel, approximate RSSI, physical location, floor/room, photo of device and serial, and contact person if available.
Perfect. Short and actionable.
Also, talk to the people who are in the space every day. Reception, security, and the help desk often know where temporary gear is hidden. Tech alone misses context. People give it away quickly.
Okay, let's shift to management. Suppose you find a dozen tenant APs. Do you send a removal notice and call it a day?
No. Start with documentation and a friendly notice. Explain the impact on building systems, offer a remediation window, and present alternatives, a managed guest SSID, a segregated VLAN, or a managed AP option. Give tenants a choice and a path to compliance.
Right, but people will push back. Some teams want a clean policy. Ban all tenant APs. I get that. Owners want simplicity. I get that, but aren't owners going to want a clean rule?
I hear that, but blanket bans are brittle. Tenants will find workarounds, and you'll end up in a cycle of enforcement that costs relationships and time. A better path is clear standards, approved equipment, registration, and managed alternatives. Enforcement becomes the last resort, not the first line.
Makes sense. Still, what about the true emergency case? When do you pull the plug immediately?
Immediate action is justified when safety or critical continuity is at stake. Life safety systems failing, interference with emergency communications, or a device that actively compromises a production OT network. Those are rare, but when they occur, you act and document why you did.
Good rule of thumb. Let's ground this with a concrete case. What happened on that commercial property you worked recently? Walk us through it.
We saw lunchtime latency spikes across 3 floors. Passive scans showed a cluster of consumer SSIDs near the food court, all on the same channel. We confirmed with wiring room logs and then did outreach. Polite notices to vendors, offering a managed guest SSID and a dedicated VLAN for payments. One vendor insisted their payment terminal required the local AP. We negotiated a short exception. They kept the AP during a transition window while we moved the terminal to a wired port and verified firmware and encryption. After verification, the AP was removed and interference dropped significantly.
So, negotiation, technical mitigation, and verification, that's the sequence. For listeners who want immediate steps, give us 3 actions to take on the next site walk.
3 actions. 1. Perform a passive wireless sweep and log SSIDs, channels, and RSSI by floor. 2. Inventory devices in wiring closets and common areas. Photo unknowns and capture serials. 3. Send a friendly tenant notice explaining the observation, the impact, and offering a remediation path or managed alternative. Prioritize by business impact and document exceptions.
Easy to remember and doable in an afternoon. If listeners want a printable checklist and notice templates, we built a short toolkit to make that simple.
One final point. Always verify. After remediation, run the same passive sweep and confirm the services tenants care about are functioning. It's the difference between fixed on paper and actually fixed in the real world.
Great closing thought. Thanks, Michael. Your operational lens makes this practical.
Thanks, Alex. Remember, locate first, then fix, with the tenant in mind.
That wraps up this episode of Built, Wired, and Secured. Today, we explored how unofficial tenant and contractor networks form, why they matter for uptime and security, and 3 concrete actions you can take on your next site walk to reduce surprise outages and speed recovery. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us. Until next time, make sure the systems you're responsible for are built to last, wired with intention, and secured for the real world.